Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to what is one of two videos this week. These are the final summer of Madman shows, the Madman Summer Editions. This is our recap and look ahead to what is coming for the rest of 2025, going into 2026. And we're going to look back into the summer on some of the stories, on the major story that we covered right here on Culture Crusades TV, Man with a Show. Our second video, which will be out same week, will be our Otaku Thursday wrap-up as well. That will be on Thursday on 6 p.m. Eastern right here on YouTube and Rumble. So do tune in. First of all, drop that comment, like, share, and don't forget to hit that subscribe. It's very important. If you like this kind of content on your screens right now, or on your phone, on your tablet, on your computer, or on your TV, please hit that subscribe. It's very important. It's really, truly important. It is literally a freedom of speech war that we're going through around the world, not only in the United States, around the world. And, part of it, that's what we're going to discuss today on this video. You see what's going on in the United Kingdom right now. You see what's going on in Australia. There's a lot of shenanigans that is going on, and it is really important. And also, take a moment, go over to Sci-Fi Snob, Sci-Fi for Me, and give them some love and give them a subscribe over there. They really would appreciate this. Check out their channels. They got some great shows. Sci-Fi Snob every Wednesday and Sunday, 11 p.m. Eastern, right here on YouTube. And then I know they're going to be starting up on Rumble. Wednesday nights is the Babylon 5 retrospective. I'm going to be on in the next couple of weeks, about four or 5 weeks. I'll be back on again. Sunday nights, Todd Lofty Lounge on his channel as well, and daily videos from Sci-Fi for Me live on his channel as well. Check it out. Jason over there does similar to what I do. Has a lot of great guests in the industry, some great shows, so do check them out. Thank you for watching. Thank you for clicking on this video. We really do appreciate it. So, it is the time of this. We've done this on September 4th because it took us a while, because we're right now we're trying to put together our new season stuff, our backgrounds and everything like that. It takes a little time. We're also generating our new ads for our CutieCast shop for the holidays and stuff like that. We're getting that together. Also, we're working on the live feed. We're testing out two companies that we're doing now. It looks like we're going to end up with Restream for now. But we're still playing around with it before we hit the live button on there. But we're going to be doing the test very soon. Hopefully the next couple weeks, by the time we hit October. Possibly maybe sooner than later. But, everything's going good. Feeling a little better. Summer was a little rough for both me and my wife. We caught a nasty flu toward the middle to the end. And she's about better, pretty much on there. A little bit of a cough left. I still have a bit of a heavy cough, but I'm able to work. So, before I couldn't even get out of bed. It was just exhausting. It's just really exhausting on the situation. And I know I'm not the only one that got hit by something like this. I know a lot of YouTubers and content creators out there got hit with something. We all got hit, simultaneously. I mean, Tim Pool was out, for 3 weeks with something? He said his throat was all messed up and everything like that. Situations like that. And there were a couple of others that some thought they had COVID. I know it was a really nasty strain of the flu. I know it wasn't COVID at all. Same thing with my wife. I mean, to the point we are careful, and I know you can't be 100% onto that situation, but there's a difference between COVID and the flu, and the people don't, the first thing when you get sick, people think it's COVID immediately. So you got the corona. Yeah, you got the, you're gonna have to go to the hospital. But the thing about it is, there is a cold, there are allergies, and flus have never gone away, ladies and gentlemen. Remember that. There's been no cure for the common cold. There's been no cure for the common flu, or any viruses, stomach flus, anything of that nature. Allergies, I have allergies, and trust me, yeah, they haven't discovered some great cure to it. And when you get sick, you get sick. It happens onto there. But there are those out there that will generate a panic to that situation. What was cause of it? It's politics. I mean, I'm not saying COVID didn't exist. It does exist. It's just that basically it was a tool. It was used as a tool. But let me tell you something. The American public was smarter than that. In certain other countries, the same thing. This is going to come back and bite certain people in the ass to that point. And I really, truly do that. Because there was a lot of censorship going on. There was a lot, they try to censor the information. They try to censor certain medications and stuff like that. This is what happened generally. So we're going to flip back a bit. Look at some of the stuff on them. Right now I'm looking on my screen here, back all the way back to June 2nd. And we talked about a lot of things on there. And, basically we had said Brazil, from a media point of view, Brazil was going to be emerging as a fast streaming powerhouse to become the second biggest international market as far as fast streaming, which is basically, it's coming up. It is coming. Brazil has been allocating more programming, Tubi TV, CW. We're talking to CW Online, Pluto TV. All that is out there in the open. Pluto's about to make a major change. If you haven't noticed yet, you now have to log in to get certain content, especially the Paramount stuff. Mostly the Paramount stuff is behind a password lock, which basically, I mean, it's still free. You're not paying for it. The eventuality is, I think Pluto is about to be. They're going to do what they did with Freevee. Freevee is being merged into Amazon Prime. I think Paramount is going to be merging Pluto TV into their Paramount Plus app site as well. Which there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. It gives them an advantage to Paramount Plus, as far as viewers and stuff like that. You still have the freebies. It gives them, because like I said, the broadcast itself, broadcast television, is evolving into fast channels, and that's the one thing that is happening, throughout the world, is that fast channels is becoming dominant. You're seeing more and more channels. I mean, yes, here in the U.S. we have ATSC 1.0, and then 3.0 is coming in. Most of the networks are going to be shutting down their 1.0, which is kind of stupid, because basically people, it's going to be a situation with 3.0. And I'll tell you that for a fact. 3.0, you're going to have to buy certain equipment to that point, and it has to be certain equipment. You can't just buy an antenna on there, which is a problem, which is wrong. 1.0, all you can do is buy a digital antenna, and you were good. Now it's just like the DRM and everything, all this technical stuff on there. Check out Antenna Man. In fact, I believe they were going to go up on Congress or some sort of FCC hearing or something like that. Him and another YouTuber to talk about this, because it is a situation that's going on that basically, why we're going to go into this and lock in the antennas to certain frequency levels that basically you only can access, and you have to pay for expensive equipment. Here we are back at cable TV again, to that point. But like I said, broadcast television is not going to go away. You got about another 20 years, 25 years of broadcast television. Cable itself, you're going to see start dwindling down and reversing over to fast channels. That's what's going to happen next to that point. Now, we talked about, stuff New York, not too much, because there's been so many people that have been covering it on there. And I'll tell you honestly, my views have been low, even though I'm in a New Yorker myself. Other people have been covering, I guess, better than me. But hey, listen, hey, good for them. Good for them. But, the thing is that I'm going to tell you, a lot of the things that have been happening, we talked about a bit of it over the summer, is, the politics in New York. Right now we have the elections this year. And I tell you, for those of you here in New York, this is the year you have to vote. You got to get up and vote. A lot of people don't vote for the mayoral campaigns for this. They don't find it important. They think the presidential they consider more open so that in the Senate. But when it comes to mayor, most people steer away from that. Why? I have no freaking idea. I guess they just really don't care as much. But see, the thing is, you might want to care. This is you got Zohan Madame Sohan. I call him the Zohan. Basically, he's running, which is he's a socialist. You have Cuomo. Honestly, I don't know why he's running. I can't see how he's going to get any votes, but I know he does have some supporters out there. Then you have Mayor Eric Adams and a couple of others that are in the field, which I don't see Adams. I don't see running into. I mean, Mandami will have to freaking just literally in the next month or two, would have to have a major scandal for Adams to even move up in the position on there. He's got too much skeletons in his closet as it is. With people in his cabinet. There's basically have been rearrested. New charges have been filed. Another one was what was it? She put money in a potato chip bag to hand over to someone in the media. And she says, "Well, no, that's something we do in the Chinese community." It's like I've never heard it in a. I heard of the red envelope thing, but not to put it in a chips bag. I mean, you can't just make up this shit. And then of course we have the crime. Of course they fudging the crime stats and stuff like that. I mean, it's going to get to the point we're going to be. Of course, what happened in D.C. Basically the president invoked. And before anyone says, oh no, he couldn't have done that. That's illegal. No, he had the rule of law with him. He was able to do it because it is written in the law that basically he put the National Guard, the FBI, the DEA, he put them all on the street. And let's say something, he did a great job and cleaned it up. Supposedly now they're headed for Chicago next, I believe. And we had the situation here in New York. Massive shootings in the Bronx. I mean, we just had last week we had the West Indian Festival, which they had a lot of cops on the ground, and still there were multiple shootings. That happened, and it happens year to year at that festival every time in September. You don't get that thing in San Gennaro. Doesn't happen in San Gennaro like that because bet knows if you know what I mean. You don't want to piss off. I mean, yes, you don't hear about the mob anymore, the Italian mob, but they're still around. You don't mess with the San Gennaro festival. That's the one thing. I mean, not saying that crime doesn't happen at San Gennaro, but not like what you hear at some of these other events to that point. But like I said, you got the crime in underground, you got the crime above ground. Of course, Roosevelt Avenue in Queens is still an issue. AOC does not acknowledge the situation out there, and it's still a problem. The citizens out there who live out in that part of New York are screaming for intervention, for National Guard intervention from the president. It needs to be cleaned up, and I agree with that to that point. This is not D.C. It's a lot bigger. I don't know how they would handle it. but it is issues. But I'm going to tell you, my wife, she had some issues onto there. She was hit by a bike during the summer. She was just standing by the bus stop. Guy came by and pat, knocked her to the ground, and just kept going. People around helped her up, but still, guy kept going. And that's an issue in itself that we talked about around early June. That there are situations where they're trying to get rid of bike lanes in Brooklyn because bikes have been hitting people. Yeah, that point. Yeah, bikes have been hitting people. And we're talking about not that they've gone up onto the sidewalk. They're in the bike lane. You have a school bus go by. The school bus stops, puts out that little sign that sticks out. You ever see those signs that sticks out that says stop? That's all traffic. Ladies and gentlemen, if you ride a bike, you see that sign out sticking out there, you need to stop. Doesn't mean, hey, listen, it means the cars to stop. No, it means for you to stop so the kids can get out safely and get across the street to get into their homes. But yet you have knuckleheads out there that are just literally going to disregard the laws. And I said this. I said they need, whether it's a bicycle or an electric bike or it's a moped or anything like that, it needs to be fully licensed. Yes, bikes should be licensed as well. Because, people go by and, bikes hit you. Who's responsible? Nobody becomes responsible unless it's really tragic. And the reverse also, too. And, cars hit bikes as well. Whether it's the bike's fault, whether it's the car's fault, there has to be some sort of accommodation to that point. But, there are those who just want to get rid of the cars. And we talked about the movie, The Last Chase, with Lee Majors and Burgess Meredith, which is basically a world that got rid of oil, the cars, and all that. And basically people were on bicycles and little electric vehicles and shit like that. And people didn't travel. And, there's that line at the end where the guy says, it's a car on the road. It's going to bring anarchy. It's going to bring anarchy. The people will uprise against us not to be able to drive on the road. I mean, this is the thought pattern. And, you think that's a movie. No, there's people that is a thought pattern out there to that point. All you got to do is look at what's on TikTok, what's on Twitter, which is on any of these sites to that point. But the other thing is, with the crime that happened to my wife was at the bus stop. Another time when she was waiting at the bus, some people came by and started squirting water out there. Well, we think it was water. And, this is the point, the lawlessness, to the point that, we said this, that the laws that, we have, they're not being used. We have trial judges, we have district attorneys, we have police, top police brass that are not doing their job. I'm not knocking on the NYPD. NYPD is doing the job that they can, but their hands are tied. Because every time they arrest somebody, they let them go. They let them straight out go. And what happens? They commit something even worse, up to the point where taking someone's life. And we've seen this multiple times throughout the entire summer in itself. And it's just to the point where, we got to get back to that point where the cops really crack down. We need broken windows here in New York. If you remember the Giuliani era, they said, I don't like Giuliani. Well, Giuliani, let me tell you something about Giuliani. When I was growing up, when Giuliani became mayor, he cleaned up New York. Look at the old pictures of New York City, 1970s, early 80s to the point. Look at what the mayors were going on, Mayor Koch, Mayor Dinkins, what they were doing through that. The city was atrocious. Even before Koch, it was atrocious. You couldn't ride the subways at night alone. This is why you had Curtis Lee with the Guardian Angels go into effect. There were drug addicts on the floor, prostitutes on the corner, to the point. Smell of urine in the subways. Oh, it was disgusting. I hated going down certain subway lines because of the smell, and some of it's back again to that point. And you heard the situations, throughout the period. You had that woman who was burnt by an illegal immigrant, and we talked about that. Besides on the Roosevelt Avenue situation, is that you have illegals in the city of New York creating crimes and situations that we should not have, and that they should be detained by ICE and removed. But the city does not want to hamper those situations. They want to keep us a sanctuary city. But knowing that the law that created sanctuary city violates federal law. People do not realize that it is against the law. And those who committed those crimes, they need to be taken, put away. I mean, I don't want to get too much into that because we didn't get too much into it because we stood on other things in that period that was even as important as this. And what I'm talking about is age verification, online safety bills, CASA. Throughout the entire summer, this was about, I would have to say 70% of our content was talking about this. From the porn industry, to the anime manga industry, to the gaming industry, to average books, social media accounts. As of late, you heard about Graham Lehan. If you not know who he is, he's created some great shows. He's a comedian. He was responsible for Father Ted.
Same as yourself. Good. I hear you're a racist now, Father. What? How did you get interested in that type of thing?
The IT Crowd and many other shows on there. As of recent, to this recording, he was arrested. He had just flown into Heathrow. And they said, and these weren't like regular cops, Bobby Cops or something like that. They sent a tactical team. And why do I say it's a tactical team? Because they were armed with guns. See, if you know UK situations, the police out there don't carry guns. What's that old joke Robin Williams says? In England they don't use a gun, so they say stop, or I'll say stop again, and that's the truth to that point. Now they banned the guns, they try to ban the knives situation. With the online safety bill, now they're arresting comedians. Don't take it from me, take it from this.
On the 19th of April 2025, you published a post on X that was deemed to be intended to stir up hatred, incite violence on the grounds of sexual orientation. What was the post? I'll tell you the post.
You sure you're a wolf man? Comedy writer, Rob Father Ted. You idiot.
You're under arrest.
I'm only I'm not the famous. I'm under arrest. Do you know what this country looks like to America? Do you know what it looks like to America? No, just put me under arrest. Anywhere have you been around? I'm going to sue you into the ground. I'm going to sue you into the ground. I'm going to sue you into the ground. I'm going to sue you. I'm going to sue you all. I dare you. I dare you. I'm going over here so people
Sir, calm down.
I will
Calm down. There's no need for it. There's no need for it. There's no need for it.
I'm
Calm
going
down.
down.
Yeah. Calm down. Calm down. Sir.
And the thing is, you hear these situations, and just recently, and a politician was criticized for coming here. And I don't really like Nigel Farage. Got, he it's something you don't get, but he is correct in his, situation where he talks about what is going on in the United Kingdom. And I'm going to play a little bit of this. And this is Jamie Raskin last week. This is what the thought is of a United States senator on what they think that basically what's more important at this point.
Republicans called it to attack our Democratic allies in Europe. The star witness is not a human rights leader like Navalny, but a far-right, pro-Putin politician who leads the UK Reform Party, a party that has 4 members out of 650 members in the parliament. He calls England an authoritarian regime, while saying that Vladimir Putin is the world leader he admires the most. Well, this hearing mimics Vice President J.D. Vance, who went to the Munich Security Conference in February. In the first 2 minutes of his speech, whitewashed the world's leading autocratic regimes, proclaiming that the threat that worries him is not Russia. It's not China, he said, but rather it's our European allies. Amazing. Republicans are promoting far-right parties in Europe, like Alternative for Deutschland, Reform UK, and Rassemblement National Français, and ignoring massive repression in Russia, China, Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, and among all the autocrats of the world. Republicans are vilifying European liberal democracies simply for engaging in the kind of line-drawing exercises that we Americans engage in under our First Amendment with respect to the epidemic of child pornography, protecting children from other harmful content, defamatory speech, online scams and false advertising, and speech inciting riots and imminent lawless action. All forms of speech that the First Amendment does not protect and whose tricky contours must still be drawn by law. We could have a meaningful hearing on this complicated subject, but this hearing is just a drive-by hit against a strong Democratic ally to benefit a Donald Trump sycophant and wannabe. But it's even worse than this. Not only are our colleagues ignoring intensifying repression in the world's dictatorships, they're also trying to distract the world from the attack on freedom taking place right here in America every single day. Americans aren't worried about the EU or the Online Safety Act in the UK. We're not worried about white nationalists not having enough license to incite lynch mobs to set immigrants on fire in their bedrooms. Americans are worried that Donald Trump is working to rewrite and whitewash American history in our museums, our textbooks, and our national parks, to destroy PBS, NPR, and public broadcasting, to ban books in our libraries, and to censor any news stories critical of him by installing political henchmen in private broadcast rooms. Americans know that academic freedom is in danger when the administration cancels and withholds billions of dollars in scientific and medical research funding from American universities, even for urgent life-saving studies about breast cancer or heart attacks, as a way to force schools to impose government orthodoxy on curriculum, hiring, admissions, and any student and faculty speech that MAGA considers politically incorrect. Americans see Trump trying to harass, intimidate, control, and shut down the press, like ABC, CBS, NBC, NPR, and PBS.
Do you think that basically he would agree that basically there is a problem that will affect all of us about censorship in the world? No, it's Trump, 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 Trump. And yes, this is the thought pattern that they have. Now, during the summer, we've had a bunch of stuff on there, just to give you a hint of what is going on around the world, not only in the United Kingdom. You had Indonesia arresting citizens for creating and selling adult content online. What do they consider adult content? We don't know. We still don't know to that point. Luxembourg, the French tried to stick AV laws, the censorship laws, onto Luxembourg. Luxembourg, gave France the middle finger on that. ILO, which is Pornhub's subsidiary, they blocked access in France to Pornhub. They said, well, that was a big win. It says, no. VPN. You could use a VPN to access it. And then later on, France wanted to designate, and this was end of June, Blue Sky, Reddit, and X as porn sites. Yeah, you can't make this shit up. Now, obviously, I don't have a Blue Sky account. For those of you out there, please, tell me, have you seen porn on there? I mean, might be, or it might be some nudity to that point. I wouldn't think it would be much, but you got to remember to the point, and and you're starting to see this on the Google Shop and the Apple Store, that now they're putting age on, what age you should be when using this particular app. And you notice that it's more of an adult situation on there. I mean, I don't see little kids, being on Blue Sky. Okay? Because they say, we got to save the children. We must save them.
Oh, won't somebody please think of the children?
Reddit, that's a different story to that point. But, Reddit is Reddit. Always has been. That's been for years. X, which was formerly known as Twitter, most kids these days are more into Instagram and TikTok. They're not into this much to the point where they are sitting in Twitter chat or they're sitting on any other chat room other than those two other sites. The other, then of course, and people says, well, we lost this, and this could be the end of access to the internet, that basically SCOTUS ruled against the adult industry on the Texas age verification law. This is the one that the Free Speech Coalition brought up to that point. And I think that basically this is not the end of it. It's not the end of it at all. Because if you look forward a bit onto this, you have other lawsuits that are pending on there from other groups. And with what's going on in the United Kingdom right now, I think you're going to be seeing a more emphasis to stop age verification. Because you see already what is going on with Ofcom, with basically the online safety bill, and what's going on there, because they've been censoring people. Like I said, they arrested a comedian. They're arresting about 30 people a day or 30 people a week just for social media posts. I mean, they have a bigger problem with sexual assault in that part of the world. A really nasty one. They don't want to deal with it. They would rather deal with situations of, dissent. Similar to if you saw Equilibrium or the movie V for Vendetta. Two movies I would highly recommend. And then, of course, we had Senate Bill SB 20, which we will be discussing on Otaku Thursday, the special edition. That situation, which has gone into effect. And we'll go into deep on that. But basically, as far as right now, anime, cartoons, Family Guy, any cartoon art that depicts children or anything like that is illegal in the state of Texas, which basically we're still waiting for SCOTUS to step in on this. And eventually that's going to come up on there. But we'll discuss that on the Taco Thursday. The other half, to that point, and we'll continue on with all the content and all that. The BBC wants the U.S. now to pay for the BBC network because basically they're not making any money off their own citizens because they refuse to pay for antennas. To that point, they want to put a fee onto Netflix and probably other streaming sites in their country, which will create an exodus of programming. To that point, that's really a situation. And you had UK lawmakers, besides the age verification, the online censorship, they wanted to create a minister of porn. We reported this in July, that they wanted to do a minister of porn. What is that? I still don't understand what it is. And a lot of people that have written articles on this still doesn't understand what it is. In simpler terms, and I'll tell you straight out, is they just literally want to, have someone sitting there wagging their little finger saying, "Oh, that's some bad stuff. You should not be watching that." You have to laugh to this situation, that this is what goes on in, here in the U.S. and abroad as well. And of course, as far as we know, it hasn't changed yet. The age verification law has been blocked in Georgia. Still waiting to hear on that. That's coming back on appeal. Then, of course, France reinstates the age verification, bypassing EU regulations. What we mean by that is that there is a fight between France and the EU to what should be the age verification laws. France has their own, the EU has their own, the UK has their own. Whose law do they go by? This is where all these laws will end up collapsing. Then we had, because of the age verification in the EU, Blue Sky, Reddit, X, they've all been labeled porn sites by the EU. We said about France, but now the EU is doing it. And, that gets insane. And you're wondering, where's the rest of the world on this, especially the places where, that have issues like China. China, basically has a censorship issue. Well, we can't leave them out of it. Toward the end of July, we reported China cracks down on women who writes gay erotica. We know about it. There were arrests made for people who were making stories. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, China was arresting storytellers, story creators, writers. And that is just insane. It's really, truly insane. And as we're getting toward the end, at the end of July and all that, of course, we had, which we'll be covering on Taco Thursday, collective shout situation, more Ofcom, that basically they ordered the social media site X blocked in the United Kingdom. It's a VPN, ladies and gentlemen. Get yourself a VPN. And switching back to the United States, you had a failed proposal of sex toy restrictions. Yeah, that's right. In Texas, they tried to stop the sale of sex toys, while New York tried to shut down adult boutiques. You can't make this shit up. I'm telling you, you can't make this shit up. The latest right now, we're going to cover it in our season premiere. They're looking to create a sort of prohibition of liquor in New York. I mean, did they not learn about the Prohibition era? What happened? In other words, they want to cut down the amount of liquor stores, bars, and stuff like that. So basically, maybe people will think of being healthier without the liquor. No chance of that happening soon, that someone's going to cut their liquor on that. Then switching back to Australia, of course, they widened their social media ban. Basically, the Australians, if you're under the age of 16, you are no longer allowed access to social media, Facebook, X, Twitter, TikTok, any of that. which that's a big situation in itself. And, of course, we, with the situation with Collective Shout, Visa MasterCard itself, that they basically have been deciding, that you shouldn't be buying this, that they've gone after Steam and much others, that they started debanking again, which basically the Trump administration has now put out an executive order against debanking, which I said it's a start. It is a start, but we need more legislation to that point. And we also, this is getting back to the Texas laws, the age verification and the SB 20. Judge Brett Kavanaugh has written off to the side that basically, because there is, like I said, there's another lawsuit pending in there by another group, another free speech group. Basically, he's warned that the age verification laws are likely unconstitutional. We've talked about this. And this comes from the Mississippi law, which SCOTUS decided to let continue on, because a lot of people says, well, they let it continue on, so that means, it's valid. No, they allowed it to continue it on as the lawsuit is continuing on as well. But it's still, you have a justice that's saying, I'm sorry, I believe that it's unconstitutional. It's against freedom of speech to that point. As I said, you have Europe that, literally, I think we had Tommy Robinson on Tim Pool. There was a video on him on the other day, and they discussed it. I think there's something coming up soon in London, which they're calling it that basically, it's going to be the, to that point, an issue that, and you see this going on in Ireland, Germany, France, Poland, Britain, Australia, Austria, Spain. You're seeing the people rise up against the government. Why? Because, you can't even wave the flag, your own flag. You had somebody, 11-year-old kid, chastised by the police department in Britain for having the flag of their country. You wonder why the President of the United States is asking to basically, it wants to sign off and make it illegal to burn the American flag. And most of you say, well, that's, freedom of speech to burn the flag. It's also freedom of speech to fly the flag without any situation. But also, I can't burn an LGBTQ flag. I can't burn a Palestinian flag. So why do they get, preferential treatment versus the American flag? That's something, of course, has to deal with SCOTUS and done in a courtroom. And basically, we'll see what happens with that. But still, you have these situations. You have the United Kingdom telling people you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't fly a flag, you can't pray. You can't pray in the street. You got people, Catholics, the attack on Catholics, and they can't pray on the corner. They say, well, you're near an abortion clinic, so I'm praying in my mind. I'm not sitting out there yelling, screaming, and nothing against Muslim Arabs, but they're allowed to pray in the middle of the street loudly, and the cops don't do anything on that. Again, preferential treatment. We're not a Muslim country. Remember that to that point. We'll allow you in. You can, I have nothing against, you want to have a mosque over there and over here. You want to pray. You want to have a, what do they call it? A halal restaurant. I have no problem with that. but don't infringe on other people's rights. And the thing about it is, you're living in another country. If you're coming in for the first time here, what you used to do in your own country, you can't do here. And you have to respect those laws here. They say, well, we want to bring Sharia laws. That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen at all. You're violent. You can, pray. We allow you to pray. Allow you to have your churches and stuff like that. But if you're going to overwrite the Constitution as far as what this country is built upon, that's not going to work. Then go back, And that's what's happening, in these European countries. They're being overrun by those that basically, trying to take over these countries. You're seeing this point. You're seeing, a rebellion grow in these countries. You're even talking about factions, the Catholic Church and the Protestants joining together. When have you heard that? I think it has been something like that since the Crusades. And I think that's what we're headed for, a new crusade, a ninth. This will be our ninth crusade in history. Yes, there were 8 crusades and about a half a dozen in between, which wouldn't count as a full crusade, or just an event to that nature. And, to the point that, women are not being protected, children are not being protected. I mean, you had a girl that basically, a 14-year-old girl who was defending herself from someone that was, trying to attack her sister and all that. Yeah, she pulled an axe, she pulled a knife to protect herself. She didn't use it. The person wasn't injured or anything to that nature. But they sent an entire police department to arrest her, not the guy who happens to have a tattoo of a gun on the back of his neck. Did I crack just there? Woo. Talk about that. But he had a gun on the back of his neck, and they arrested this 14-year-old girl just for defending herself. What happened to, believe all women, or, to that point? Remember that? Remember that back a bit? I said, believe all women to that situation. That was another political issue. They never wanted to protect women. They never wanted to protect children. All this is a structural point that basically they want to take over via the World Economic Forum, make money off of this, and this is all, they're going to be making money off to the point, and control what you do, what you eat, where you sleep, where you work, what you're driving, what you learn in school, what religion you're going to live with, and to that point. But we're at the level now. September 4th, 2025. Ladies and gentlemen, let me put to this point. We're beginning to fight back, especially here from the U.S. When it comes to the online safety bill, we already know out there 4chan and Kiwi Farms are leading the way with the help of the law firms of Byron and Storm, the oncoming storm, and the great Ron Coleman has also joined in on this. Good for you, Ron. Get in there. And this is what we're leaving off onto this. This is where we get to this point. This is a civil action. You have the United Kingdom trying to insert itself into our politics, into our country's laws. Did we not fight something like that back in 1776 to get rid of them? Once again, South Park was right. even though South Park ain't a good season this year. But South Park was right years ago. The greatest enemy to America. Yes, that's right. Was the United Kingdom. They said it years ago. If you remember that episode on there where they try to take over America using old British schooners and shit, warships from the 17th century. That was hysterical. And we just sent in fighter jets and just took out the whole entire fleet. But it's funny when you look to the point that now we are beginning to sue, and people say, "Well, nothing's going to happen on that. That's in another country on that." No. Here's the thing. This lawsuit will go forward. Why? Because the interference. And this is all connecting. Collective Shout, the UK online service. You also, GARM was part of this as well. And there's that girl, Dame Iman, from Australia, who used to be an American, and the Julie Iman, Commissioner E-Safety Commissioner Julie Iman Grant, who basically Sky News Australia had put out that they leaked a censorship plot to sideline Donald Trump in the election. That's right. Not only the United Kingdom. It was a piece of the, and I'm not saying all the Australian government, a certain, radical group within the Australian government tried to influence a U.S. election. Wasn't China, wasn't Russia, wasn't North Korea. It was the Australians. Scary, isn't it? Know thy enemy. Remember that. Know thy enemy. Remember. Because basically, enemies can be from within a government. Not knocking that Russia's a good country and all these other ones. They have their issues. And of course, obviously, every one of these countries has spied upon the U.S. and vice versa. We've spied upon them. They spy on us, we spy on them. It's the whole same situation all the way around. But like I said, these Australia, United Kingdom, the EU, they're supposed to be our friends. They're supposed to be backing us. But now, they get called out because they ain't paying enough, to NATO. They ain't paying enough to the United Nations. They ain't paying enough to keep, the organizations going. They're letting us flip the bill. It's like having a dinner party, and when the check comes, everybody else, all the other countries decide to spin off and leave it for the U.S. to pay. Am I right? Am I wrong? But this is some of the things. There's a lot that I didn't go over and stuff like that. But feel free to check out the entire roster of the summer videos from June 2nd on, and do check them out. They're still available online, and I know a lot of you have been looking into them to that point, because I know for some reason YouTube has been throwing out my older videos out there. Figure that one. But at least that helps me a little bit. To that point, I've gotten a couple of subscribes because of that. But do check it out. It's very important on there. Side note, we did this on September 4th. This will be airing sometime next week, which is like the week of the 8th. Starting the 15th of September, we will be back fully with the fall season 8 I think we were on season 8. Was it season 8? Yeah, I think so. Season 8, our 8th year here on YouTube. And our, was it 3rd year on Rumble? I think it's the 2nd or 3rd year on Rumble. And join us. It's our beginning of our fall season. We got a lot to discuss. I mean, the videos, we're working on the videos. It's going to take us some time, but that's why we're taking a shorter week next week to allow us to just rehash everything to that point. That, like I said, there's so much going on. Like I said, New York, they want to do a prohibition onto the situation. Of course, we're, still monitoring Gunther Ingman on his arrest and release in the United Kingdom. Of course, we'll probably have something on the situation with Tommy Robinson. Supposedly it's some big event that is going on. We'll see what happens with that. Of course, online safety bills, age verification laws, the attack on the porn industry, attack on the anime and manga industry, Visa, MasterCard, payment processors, debanking. God, so much. Can you believe it? We're going to try to be working on, like I said, live streams that are coming to that point. You should be starting to see test runs coming in toward the end of September. Right now, like I said, we're testing the software first. We want to see what we could put on there, adjust it, see how it looks, and then we'll bring up on there. And I do want to do a live stream with a couple of the guys on there, Sci-Fi Snob, Cam, Jason, Jeff, have them come on as well. We can discuss some things, some great situations, some bad things, good things to that point. Other than that, buy physical media. I've been buying a lot of physical media lately. I've gotten some great movies. I got some great deals during Labor Day to that point. Got a box set of Gotcha Man for, $150 box set for $50. Sentai Filmworks site. In fact, just shipped out today when this recording is going on to that point. But once again, drop a comment. Tell me everything, what we went through during the summer. Let me know. Like, share, subscribe. Very important. Don't forget to check out our gear shop, shopcuticast.com. It's out there. There'll be discounts. I think we're still in the 15th one for another week or so for this week. Next week, I think we go back to 10% off till the holidays. To that point, we'll see what happens. Like I said, we're working on all the POP, all the cards and stuff like that. The ending cards, we're still working on as well. Once again, don't forget, check out Sci-Fi Snob's channel, Babylon 5 Retrospective, 11 p.m. Eastern on Wednesday night. YouTube, Top Lofty Lounge on the Sci-Fi Snob channel as well, 11 p.m. Eastern on Sunday nights. Also check out Sci-Fi for Me, daily videos up there. Sometimes he's on one day, skips a day. Depends. Every week it gets changes. Also, his wife had to go through a back surgery. Give them some love over there. Some get well soons on there. I know she's doing better. Medically to that point, because that was very important that they get that fixed. So good health to her on there. But do check out his channel. Give both channels a little bit of loving. So until next time, and our season premiere starting on the 15th of September. Thank you for tuning in. You guys are, you're back to school, back to work. Have an enjoyable. I mean, the weather's nice now. Take it in right now, because basically the weather's going to change in the next couple of weeks. So until next time, thank you for tuning in. We'll see you on on the fall premiere. Have a good one, and bye-bye now.